Good morning, investors, and PTT Exploration and Production Public Company Limited. The Stock Exchange of Thailand welcome you all to the SET Digital Roadshow Year-End Performance of 2020. The session will run about 45 minutes, including Q&A. Presenting company will start the session by 30 minutes presentation, followed by 15 minutes Q&A. During Q&A, investor may leave your questions in the meeting room chat box or raise your hand function. Then presenting company will open your microphone so you can ask the question to the company directly. May I now invite presenting company to start the presentation, please.
Okay. Good morning, investor. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome to SET Digital Roadshow with PTTEP for the first quarter of 2021. My name is Thanat. I'm the Investor Relations Manager for PTTEP. And with me today, I have Kun Arachon, who is the Senior Vice President for Finance. Ms. Arachon has extensive experience in finance, and she used to lead financial strategy team in PTT prior to joining PTTEP. Good morning, Kun Arachon.
Yes, good morning, Kun Thanat.
Today's presentation will be divided into three parts. First, I would like to invite Kun Arachon to give us through what happened in 2020, and then we will share with you our plan for the growth in 2021 and beyond. After that, we will give you a presentation on the company highlight of the company projects, followed by the financial performance for the year end. And then lastly, we will open the floor for the Q&A. So without further ado, may I invite Kun Arachon for the first session, please?
Yes, just begin with 2020 in review. 2020 has been a challenging year for every business sector due to the COVID-19 pandemic, especially for oil and gas industry. That COVID-19 pandemic has caused the significant lower energy demand and therefore the low oil price. With the uncontrollable factors as said, we have taken immediate actions in order to deal with the situation, such as investment plan revision about 30% down in 2020 and preventive measure for all employees with work from home program for head office and quarantine for operation sites. For the financial results, we have reported the net income of $720 million, about 54% down, lower than last year. Main reason is mainly from the lower selling price as a result of a lower oil price. However, we were able to reduce our unit cost to be at $30.5 per barrel, about 4% lower than last year. For 2020 sale volume is around 354,000 barrels per day, a 1% increase from last year. It's mainly due to the full year volume recognition from the execution of Murphy's assets in Malaysia and the execution of Patek that was offset by the lower nomination in Contact 4 and Bomkot projects. Moving on to our operation achievements, we will award the exploration rights for 2 blocks in UAE and Oman, of onshore block 12 and UAE offshore 3. These 2 assets are located in the high petroleum potential area that we have planned to drill an exploration well for block 12 within this year. In terms of operation activities, we made discovery from drilling exploration of 2 wells in Mexico Block 29 project. For the Myanmar gas to power has also made a good progress with the notice to proceed that has been approved by the Myanmar government in November 2021. In last year. This is an important milestone for our first step to diversify and expand in the gas value chain. Another new business that we are looking to diversify into is AI and robotics ventures that we plan to scaling up the business with 7 partnerships and 2 joint ventures. The product will be explained later in this presentation. One of the most important performance that we put priority into is the safety performance. In 2020, our safety performance indicators, both lost time injury frequency and total recordable incident rate, are among the first quartile of the International Association of Oil and Gas Producers. Other activity in 2020 that we would like to highlight are the social support, including donation and relief against COVID-19. We donated about 35 million baht in domestic and 8 million baht in overseas. And we also got 53 awards and recognition, both domestically and international in various areas, including the GRC, SC, and CSR. That are all highlights in the year 2020. The next topic would be PT growth driver in 2021 and beyond. We would separate the growth driver into timeline, short term, medium term, and long term. In the short term, for upcoming 1 to 2 years, our main focus will be on Area 1 transmission and preparation for Bongkot operation for the first production under new PSC in 2021 and 2023. In 2022 and 2023. Also, the production startup of the development projects, including Sabah H, that has already achieved the first gas production in February 2021. And Algeria HBR Phase 1 that expecting the first production in the second half of this year. Both projects will make contribution to our sale volume around 25,000 barrels per day in 2021. And lastly, additional growth would be from Oman Block 61 project that have recently announced the execution. After closing expected within this year, this would provide an immediate contribution to our sale volume around 25,000 barrels per day in 2021 and 40 to 50,000 barrels in 2022. In the medium term, during 2023-2026, our growth drivers will form the first production from Mozambique area project, expecting in 2024, with the production capacity at 13.1 million tons per annum. Secondly, the integrated domestic gas to power project in Myanmar that we expect FID in 2022 and the COD in 2025. Thirdly, the FID for SK410B project in 2026. We have completed the appraisal dealing with the result better than we previously estimated. Petroleum resource is now expected to be at least 6 TCF against 2 to 4 CTF that we previously communicated. Fourthly, the second phase of Algeria HBR project that is expecting to start the production in 2025 with the capacity at 30,000 to 50,000 barrels per day. And lastly, our new investment in AI robotics that we are expecting the business to scale up and generating the revenue stream in the medium term. For the long term, during 2027 to 2030, we continue our focus in the exploration activity in the country of our operation, and also diversify into our other business, including investment opportunities in renewable for the long-term sustainability. The next, I would ask Khun Thanat to go to the detail of the project and the rest of the presentation. Khun Thanat, please.
Thank you, Khun Arachon. I would like to allow me to take you through our key projects that I would like to highlight here. The first one that I think is of your interest is on the transition of our key projects G1 and G2, Air1 and Bongkot. As you may know that G2, which is Bongkot, is the project that we are the operator. So we expect the transition to be seamless, and that's go on as planned. On the G1, as you may have heard from the news, we still cannot access the site, but we already have the preparation work in place, including the engineering work. We are also in the discussion with the gas buyer, PTT, and we are also in the discussion with the government in order to ensure the smooth transition of this project. The Lang Laba project, which is the key discovery that we made, it is actually one of the it is actually the biggest discovery in the history of the company. So this one we expect that the FID for this one will start in 2022 with the volume could be as high as 800 to 1,000 MMSCFD. Moving on to the next one, I would like to spend a few minutes to highlight the project, the Oman Block 61 that we recently announced. This is the biggest M&A in the history of the company. We spent about $2.4 billion for the 20% stake in this project from BP. BP is still the operator of this project. PTTEP would join as a partnership together with OQ, the National Oil Company of Oman, and Petronas. This project, just to highlight a few things, that it is a producing project in the country, which is a very important strategic asset for Oman. It contributes almost 35% of the current gas supply for the country. The asset consists of two phases. The first one is a Khasan, which already FID and first gas in 2017, and the second phase Ghasia also already first gas in 2020, just last year. So together, the combined production capacity for gas is 1.5 billion scf per day, and condensate more than 65 kboed. Since this is already a producing project, once the completion is completed, which we expect to be in the second quarter of this year, that will contribute not only the reserves to the company, but also the cash flow, and also bring down the company unit cost as well. We expect the cost will come down around $1 per BOE at the PTTEP consolidated level. Another key project I would like to highlight here is the Myanmar domestic gas to power project. This is a $2 billion investment, including the upstream development of M3 and Sotika, which will provide the gas supply to the power plant. The second part is a pipeline, both onshore and offshore, from the upstream up to the shore of Myanmar, and then continue to the power plant. This 600 megawatt gas-fired power plant will be situated in the Jairat area, just southern of Yangon, and will produce electricity and feed to the country. The buyer would be FK, the electricity of Myanmar. Currently, we already received a notice to proceed from this project since last year. So we now in the preparation process for the engineering preparation work, as well as the funding arrangement. The GSA and the power purchase agreement is also in progress. We expect the FID around the middle of next year, 2022. Another new business that I would like to highlight is AI and robotics, which we now classify it into 4 business lines. Firstly, we have the subsea business, which is the business that we will focus on the underwater pipeline inspection and maintenance. We already have the ROV award tender from Mubadala. The robot Nautilus also won award from the ADIPEC just last year. And we're already trying to scale up the business and getting more customers. The second one is agri-tech, where we have sales and service of drones, sprayer drones, and also focus on the farm management application. The third one is a drone business, where we have a drone that will provide a service in the inspection of flare and also telecom poles and others related business. Currently, more than 50 projects that we are doing right now. On the health tech part, that one is under the relaunch and rescaling in order to develop a proper holistic view of the business blueprint right now. I would like also to touch just a few minutes on the highlight of the ESG activities that we are doing. The ESG activities main three themes. The first one is a greenhouse gas reduction that we have target to reduce about 25% in the greenhouse gas reduction within 2030. And we have the circular model for E&P where we aim to reduce the waste at least more than 50% and also the reuse of the structure as well. We have a number of targets related to the reducing of the hazardous waste and also the industrial waste to the landfill, which in 2020 we already achieved the first target. The third theme is the Ocean for Life, where we will focus to create the net positive impact to the biodiversity and also the ecosystem around the area that we operate. And lastly, we would like to increase the community income by more than 50% in the local community around our operations. The greenhouse gas reduction, we will do a number of key initiatives. For example, we look into how we can recover the flare gas and utilize it. And we also looking into how we can properly manage the CO2 emitted from our operations. That could be the carbon capture storage or carbon capture utilization. Apart from that, as we have multiple assets in the Gulf of Thailand, so we will try to look into how we can increase the energy efficiency in our operations. On the renewable side, we already implemented more than 70% utilization of the renewables energy source on our platforms. In the circular model E&P, we are now focusing on the topside reuse of the project, where we can utilize the topside of a platform into another one. The pilot case is at Artit, which we expect to be happen in 2021. Another pilot project is that we use the waste from what we call the drill cuttings from our drilling activities, and we use that drilling waste for the pilot project in the road pavement in our operation area. The Ocean for Life, we will focus on the monitoring of the microplastic in the ocean. As we operate mainly offshore, we have a number of MOU with the local university and also with the Department of Marine and Coastal Resources in order to improve the health of the ocean. Apart from that, we also have a number of CSR projects around this area as well. Lastly, on the financial performance, as Kun Orachon already highlighted to you, we closed the net income for the last year at $720 million, about 54% decrease from last year, which is mainly driven by the decrease in the selling price, about 18%. However, our unit cost, we were also able to reduce that down to just 30.50, which is about 4% reduction. and that makes us in the first quartile of the industry. In terms of the cash flow and financial position, we end the year 2019 at the cash around $3 billion. We have the net operating cash flow more than $2.8 billion, and we finish up the year with the cash position as high as $3.8 billion. So that's already display how strong our operation is and our liquidity. In terms of the financial position, total assets stood at $22 billion at the end of 2020. We still have the low DE ratio of 0.33, which is also below our target policy rate of 0.5. Moving on to the last part, we are guiding the sales volume for this quarter at 365 kBOED and the total full year at 398 kBOED, with the gas price guidance around $5.5 per BOE for this full year. For the unit cost, we are guiding the first quarter at $29 to $30 per BOE, and with the inclusion of the Oman Block 61, we expect the cost per BOE would be lower by about $1 to the range of 28 to 29. And we still expect to maintain our EBITDA margin around 70%. For the dividend payment, we will have the shareholder meeting on the April of 8 this year, and to approve the dividend payment of 2.75 baht per share. And that would make the whole year 2020 at 4.25 baht per share, and the payout ratio of 77%. Looking at the credit ratings and outlook, we still maintain credit rating BBB+ from S&P and Baa1 from Moody, with the local rating by TRIS at AAA. I think it's now at the end of the presentation that the company has prepared. So if there are any questions that you may have, please feel free to type in the chat box or raise your hand. Thank you. Okay, so we have the first question, which is what is the strategy towards the M&A, and do you plan to have additional M&A this year, or is there any deals coming up soon? May I have Kun Arachon to answer this question?
Our M&A strategy remains unchanged. Must be in our focus area and fit to our growth strategy. It should be gas focused and in the early production phase as well. We are open to more M&A if it fits to our criteria. And our financial is still pretty strong to cope with any opportunistic M&A.
Given the next question is that given we have the big acquisition of Oman Block 61, which will consume quite large amount of our cash, about $2.4 billion. So the question is whether are we looking into require additional funding?
For our current balance is really strong. We do not expect any additional funding this year unless there is a very big investment. We still have ample cash for our operations.
Thank you. We have the next question, which is around the impact of the current situation in Myanmar and whether this will delay the investment plan. Maybe I can take this one. So for Myanmar, I think as you know that there are political uncertainty in the country. However, we keep close monitoring of the situation in Myanmar. And currently, there is no impact whatsoever to our existing operations. For the new investment, such as the gas to power, that is also follow the plan, and we expect no change in the timeline at the moment. Okay. We have the question on the Montara spill case, which the Federal Court of Australia announced the judgment last Friday. So the question is whether there would be any provision done and what is the plan going forward. Maybe also I can take this one. Going forward in Australia, we are looking into, because we have one project there in Australia with multiple fields there. We are looking into how we should manage these fields to develop it in the future commercially. In terms of the Montara case, the judgment delivered by the court is actually for the judgment of the lead plaintiff of the class action only. So the damage that the judge declared was around 22,500 Aussie dollar that will be awarded to this lead plaintiff. However, the company is still looking into the details of the court's judgment, and we still have around 28 days for the appeal if we decide to do so. For the rest of the class action, the court did not mention any details about that, but they do have the next plan that the remaining in the class action will have to submit further clarifications on top of the evidence that already submitted to the court. So that will be in progress, and we will keep monitor the situation and update to the investor. I have the next questions on what is the dividend policy and payout trend going forward.
Yes. We maintain dividend payment policy at least 30% from the net income after tax, with payout ratio around 45 to 55%.
Thank you. I have the follow-up questions about Montara on how long is this the entire process. I think the investigation will have to be done further because the court is now requesting both sides to provide more evidence on the area of the farms that the farmers claiming the damage, and also how much the damage that they are looking at, and also when the damage happened. So the company will also have to submit the more clarification regarding our scientific findings on the case of this oil spill. I think we expect at least 1 or 2 years before we can have progress from the court, because that also depends on the Federal Court of Australia to consider this case. And I think we have the question regarding the provision for this case. I think at the moment, the company does not plan to set up any provision for this. we think that in order to set up the provision, we need to have a clear rationale to properly evaluate and estimate the damage, which at this case is still not final. So at this time, the company does not plan to set up any provision for now. If there are other questions, please feel free to type in the chat box or raise your hand.
Please. Any question?
Okay. I think we have. Okay. I think we have the question around the transition of Era 1. The Era 1 transition will happen in April next year. So by that time, the company will the transition will happen at that time. The current operator will have to relocate from the site. Okay, I think we have spent enough. We have spent enough time for the Q&A. So if there are no further questions, I would like to thank you, investor, for your interest in today's session. And if you have other questions, please feel free to drop email to the IR team. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
The stock exchange would like to thank you, investor and presenting company for joining us as well. We look forward to welcome you all again in next quarter. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.